Welcome on in, members of the chapter, as well as potential new acolytes. This is Sprues and Studs, and today we are going to be talking about, well, members of the chapter or plastic members of the chapter that are not currently among us right now, or action figures that I want to see released in the very near future by JoyToy. So please keep in mind that I have absolutely no insider information whatsoever. I have no special ties with JoyToy or GW to know exactly what is coming down the pipeline. So this is literally me talking out of my ass, but this is just me wanting to see a few plastic figures get released in the very near future. And there are a total of 10 of them that I want to see get released in the very near future. There is going to be a mixture of infantry as well as vehicle. So let's get down to it, shall we? So the first group of action figures that I want to see are the Sternguard Veterans. So why the Sternguard Veterans? Well, they are the first OG Firstborn Marines that have been recently converted into Primaris in the very recent release of the 10th edition box. Well, they are highly decorated, they are seasoned, and very battle-hardened veterans and individuals. JoyToy can use all the other elements of the different Marines very easily with the same iconography and just add just a few loincloths as well as tabards. So we've seen the previous release of combi weapons, so it's really a natural transition to use those weapons for the Sternguard. Also, the Ultramarines action figure version of the Vanguard Veterans were recently released by JoyToy, so that sets kind of a precedent that the Sternguard lineup will eventually be released. So I'm going to say that the chance of release of this action figure on my wish list is highly probable. Next is the Primaris Captain with a jump pack. Why do I say this? Well, again, with the release of the 10th edition, we saw the release of Jump Pack Primaris, which caused a lot of fervor and a lot of excitement in amongst us GW miniature fans. So there's also a precedent with the recently released Vanguard Veterans that JoyToy can produce jump packs with no issues whatsoever. That saying, the progression to a Primaris-based jump pack is very easy. Plus, jump pack Marines are iconic, and everybody loves Marines with jump packs. So I'm going to say that the chance of release on this one is also going to be highly probable. So number 3 on this list are the Eliminators. Why? Well, I believe that there is nothing more badass than a squad of snipers. We have seen the previous release of Phobos Marines, such as the Reavers, Infiltrators, and Incursors, which kind of sets a precedent for this. So JoyToy has the sculpts for the base armor for the Eliminators. All they need to do is add a few capes, and they have, as in JoyToy has, shown their previous ability to make these flowing, gorgeous red capes. All they have to do is convert it into camo. Then all they need to do is create some bolt sniper rifles or las fusils, which theoretically should not take that much effort to make. So I'm going to say that the chance of release of these action figures is moderately probable. So the reason why I say that is because, well, this is one of their earlier releases for a Primaris miniature, and I think we probably would have seen it by now since we are, 2 to 3 years in the Warhammer action figure hobby. So maybe they would have made it by now, but just as Jim Carrey says, you mean there's still a chance? The 4th one on my list is the Apothecary. Why? Well, there's no current Primaris action figure healer on the battlefield, and I think that, these Apothecaries have a very unique color armor compared to the rest of the Marines. For me, being a Blood Angels lover and player, the Apothecaries, or known as Sanguinary Priests, are very important to the lore and the mythos of the Blood Angels. So it would be nice to see some of these important figures be represented on the action figure field. So I'm going to say that the chance of release is moderate probability. Why do I say moderate? Well, again, this is one of the first Primaris miniatures to be announced back in the day of the introduction of the Primaris, one would have the feeling that JoyToy would have released this figure by now, but they have not. Yet, because this figure is Primaris, once again, there's always a chance. Next on the list is the Primaris Librarian in Phobos armor. I'd like to see this produced because this is one of my personal favorite figures in the GW miniature lineup. What's cooler than a stealthy psyker? I believe that this is one of the most unique combinations that has been created by GW. Psykers have always been one of my favorite types of figures for me, and it would be nice to see this action figure to be represented in the action figure battlefield. So I'm going to say the chance of release is going to be highly probable. And I say this because we have seen the release of some very famous named psykers, namely Mephiston, as well as Tigurius. Also, once again, the precedent of capes has been perfected by the Black Templars as well as JoyToy. So once again, it would be a very easy translation to put these regal capes on a Phobos armored action figure. So now let's talk about vehicles or light infantry, and we only have one, and that is the Chaplain on a bike. Why do I say this? Well, the miniature is completely metal, badass, and it has some of the most excellent iconography. Plus, who doesn't like a chaplain that is mounted on a bike that is black and has skulls and tomes all over it? I'm going to say that the chance of release is highly probable. Why? Well, there have been 2 prior releases of Raider pattern combat bikes, namely the Black Templars one as well as the White Scars one. So JoyToy has already have the backbone of the Chaplain bike already there. All they need to do is add those chaplain-y pieces on the bike. Plus, there have been 3 chaplains that have been released in the form of the Indominus Chaplain, the Terminator Chaplain, as well as the regular Primaris Chaplain. So the precedent is already there. Now we're going to start getting into a little bit iffy territory, starting off with the Gladiator. Why do I say the Gladiator? Well, this is the obvious successor to the popular Predator/Rhino platform. I think it is natural to see a heavy vehicle to support the numerous infantry loyal Space Marines that have been released by JoyToy. To date, there has not been any heavy vehicle released by JoyToy, which I think is a shame. So I'm going to say because of that, the chance of release is going to be probably moderate due to the Gladiator being a modern platform, and if history serves correctly, JoyToy preferentially will produce more Primaris figures than Firstborn figures. Number 8 on the list is the Predator. Why do I say that? Well, I actually want this to be produced because of 100% nostalgic reasons. These are likely one of the first tanks that we and I have owned in my own Blood Angels army. The design of the Predator is iconic and unforgettable. I love how the side sponsons can be swapped out with a heavy bolter or las cannons, and the main turret can be replaced with the autocannon or twin-link las cannons. But I'm going to say, unfortunately, that the chance of release for this platform is likely going to be low due to it being an old model, it being Firstborn, and once again, there's no previous precedent for a heavy vehicle such as the Predator. And speaking of old vehicle, the 9th one that I want to see is the Land Raider. Why? Well, this is 100% another nostalgic pick by me. This is one of, if not the most iconic Space Marine transport heavy tank vehicles back in the day to ferry around your infantry, your Terminators, and your Dreadnoughts. Fortunately, I'm going to say that the chance of release of this particular action figure or model is going to be low probability once again due to it being an old model and it being Firstborn, and there's really no Primaris equivalent for the Land Raider. And finally is a very selfish one for me, as well as for all Blood Angels lovers. I'm going to say Dante. Why Dante? Well, duh. This is the leader of the Blood Angels. This is the Lord Commander and likely the oldest living Loyal Space Marine. So members of the chapter already know that the Blood Angels are my favorite chapter, and the Blood Angels action figure army currently is leaderless and needs a proper chapter master. So I'm going to say the chance of release of this one is inevitable. The reason why I say this is because, well, the Blood Angels are properly famous, and we have seen many action figure chapter masters get released, such as Kayvon Shrike, Marneus Calgar, as well as Azrael, just to name a few. The mere fact that Dante had just crossed the Rubicon Primaris not too long ago strongly suggests an action figure release. So let me know in the comments section below the most wanted Loyalist Space Marine action figure that you want to see JoyToy get released and why. And also, please let me know exactly how confident you feel this action figure is going to be released. I would love to hear your input. So once again, members of the chapter, thanks for tuning in to this video. And I appreciate your continued support each and every single week. And also, if you want to procure any of the already released action figures, please click in the link in the description below, where you will be directed to Flimatoy, where I get most of my action figures. And when you do, please do not forget to use the code SNS to receive 12% off of your purchase. And with that being said, I thank you all once again, and I'll see you all in the next one.